Hi there, I'm Charles and this is part of my video series exploring online gaming communities from the perspectives of community managers, game design, and as a society. In this video we'll be exploring how to design kindness in gaming communities, heavily based on Victoria Tran's work in community management, while also having some forays along the way. Can online gaming communities be kind by design? Does anonymity truly make everyone a jerk? What makes someone trustworthy? Maybe some people should never be trusted again. Like I know it was you who ate my tuna sandwich from the company fridge, Stephanie. Anyway, let's get started. Victoria Tran published a blog article in Medium called Designing Communities for Kindness and gave subsequent talks for it at GDC and other conferences outlining her guiding principles for making communities kinder. Her components as she has outlined them are rules, respect, norms, trust, and home. With all these powers combined, can there truly be a home among us? You see what I did there? Because she's at Inner Sloth right now, and even though this was when she was at Kit Fox, Anyway, let's start with the first component. Rules are social systems that shape and influence behavior. Social systems are relationships between individuals, groups, and institutions. Social systems can predict and shape how your behavior is influenced by the institution or group someone is a part of. When developing rules for a social system, a game, or a community, you have to design them with explicit priorities in mind. For example, in Monopoly, the rules prioritize greed. At Kitfox, their games prioritized kindness. Those rules then have to have some basic universal principles. At the very least, the universal principles for rule of law are as follows. They have to be clearly defined, don't mince words. They have to be publicized, easy to find and see. They have to be stable, don't randomly change very frequently. They have to be just, seem reasonably fair. And they have to be applied evenly and quickly to everyone applicable to. Actually, when you think about it, lots of society seems to think a lot of these are optional. How come you get to take the money from free parking when you land there, but not me? Huh, Derek? I don't care about your edge cases, Derek. I don't care. I need the money from free parking as much as you do. How come you get to take it and I don't? Also, rules must be enforced properly. Don't tolerate toxic behavior for the sake of having just activity and contributions. Negative contributions to the community are worse than no contribution. Also, clarify early, set expectations, give an appropriate punishment, and explain why actions are being taken when you're enforcing them. The next component, as Victoria defines it, is respect. Victoria defines respect in communities as respecting people's boundaries, both the players and your own. 1. They have to respect your boundaries. You're not some magical, invulnerable developer, impervious to all criticism and never makes mistakes. You're a living, breathing, fallible human being, and they have to respect that. Number 2. On the flip side, you are not their therapist. Despite what audiences might think, you are not equipped enough to handle gaps in the mental health system, and there are better professional resources elsewhere. Additionally, when people make honest mistakes, it's good to give them a golden bridge to recovery. People can find their way back if they genuinely make amends and learn from their mistakes rather than just simply punishing them and hoping people learn from that. The next component is norms, defined as acceptable ways of communication. She defines two different kinds of norms, mores versus folkways. Mores are norms that carry great importance, often explicitly defined like laws, chat rules, and more. Folkways are norms about casual daily interaction, which are often not explicitly defined. Folkways include not staring at people when you're in an elevator, or saying bless you when someone sneezes. These aren't illegal not to do, but they can be seen as rude. Folkways are harder to define, so it's up to the community manager as the de facto leader to set up the standards for acceptable jokes and communication. Additionally, there's an old internet adage that anonymity makes a regular person a jerk, but Tran adds on that their community, that is, their audience and public knowledge, help prevent them from transforming into a terrible jerk. Beyond that, there are also examples of nice anonymous communities. For example, Kind Words is a game where players submit letters with their woes to other players anonymously, and there's actually a lot of encouraging people out there. The next step is building trust, ways of facilitating cooperation. Tran breaks it down to 4 core tenets: integrity, action, openness, and intimacy. Integrity is marked by keeping promises, revealing biases, acting against our own benefit, and even admitting mistakes. Action is defined by not just saying you're going to do something, but actually doing the work, consistently, reliably, and transparently. Openness is defined by giving, showing compassion, vulnerability, sharing thoughts, and asking for and receiving feedback openly instead of being defensive. Intimacy is defined by interaction, shared experiences, bonding, finding common ground, and building rapport over time. Finally, we get to the last component, home. Beyond the shared values above, shaping a home is also about creating opportunities for repeat interactions and having cozy spaces for bonding experiences. With all those components combined, hopefully these create the conditions for a warm, safe, welcoming place for not just empty interactions, but actual connections, and maybe even friendships. The last component being about home might sound oddly personal, but those following Tran's writings would notice not completely coincidental. In a 2020 GamesIndustry.biz article, Tran speaks of her learning about community management from her parents as Vietnamese Canadian immigrants. Implicitly, families are maybe our first experience with community management, making others feel welcome and having a sense of home. In her conclusion, Tran goes on to make an idealistic statement on the nature of designing kindness in games, saying, quote, "This isn't some mass strategy dreamed up to get some user retention and hit KPIs and maximizing the synergy. Kindness is based on being genuine. You must actually want the best for people in your community." Tran takes an aspirational standpoint that these choices must reflect a sincere desire, rather than reflect the culture of monetizing or commodifying of one's community. Furthermore, she goes on to say, "Every time we choose kindness, we make the world around us a little bit kinder and braver. We don't want to just survive as an industry, we want to thrive. It's not impossible to combine technology and creativity with compassion and ethics. For me, meaning flows from connection, from being a part of communities that are bigger than me, but nevertheless value and include me." Tran is currently a community manager at Innersloth, where the developers make Among Us. Tran previously wrote this as communications director at Kitbox Games. You can find her at @thevtran on Twitter. This was a video made by Charles. I'm a graduating master's student at NYU Game Center, and a game designer, narrative designer, and event organizer. You can find me at MuditaHeart on Twitter, Twitch, and itch.io. Thanks for watching. Actually, when you think about it, lots of society seems to think a lot of these are optional. For example, how come you get to take the money from free parking when you land there but not me? Huh, Derek?